very good morning to everyone. Welcome to Gurukul English Medium School. Then we will be starting our English lesson today of Standard 5. Children, you all know that we have completed 13 lessons. So today we will be starting 14th lesson. Alright, so I want you to take your textbooks out before we start so that you can go ahead with me. I hope you have turned to page 33. Now, as you see in the slide, you can see the characters of this lesson. The first character in this lesson is a newspaper boy, milkman, hawker, school bus driver, Dr. Sawant, Mrs. Patel, a housewife, Dr. Desai, a businessman, mayor of the town, Mrs. Joshi, a housewife, Nidhi, and Madhu, Mrs. Joshi's daughters, school-going girls. So these are the human characters of the lesson. Now let's look at the animals which are mentioned in this lesson. Rabbit, deer, peacock, squirrel, bear, birds, tortoise. Now children, let's go ahead. Now, a city street early in the morning. The street is littered with plastic bags, cartons, tins, cans, broken glass, old tires, waste paper balls, bags, and other garbage. Now here enters Mr. Desai. So it's described as a city street. So how is the city street, children? It is in a very bad state, as mentioned over here. Now let me explain the meanings of carton. Carton is a box made from thick cardboard for storing goods. Now what is the meaning of garbage, children? Garbage means waste material or unwanted things that you throw away. Okay, let's go ahead. I'll show you the picture of a carton and garbage. Okay, I hope you all must be also putting the garbage, collecting the garbage in your house and then throwing it every day. Okay, so please do not throw the garbage here and there. So let's get into the lesson. Mr. Desai. Look out into the distance. Why hasn't the newspaper been delivered on time today? It's 9 o'clock. Almost time to leave for my office. Looks out again. Let me ask the Patels if they have received their copy. Goes into the wings and returns with Mrs. Patel. Here, let us understand the meaning of wings. Wings, the sides of the stage which cannot be seen by the people watching the play. So these are the side parts of the wings. If you see on the stage, usually it will be covered with some kind of curtains. So they are called as wings. Now, Mr. Desai did not receive his newspaper, though it was 9 o'clock, and he went to ask and find out with the neighbors. And who are the neighbors? Patels. Okay, now Mrs. Patel says, "No, Mr. Desai, the newspaper boy hasn't delivered the papers as yet, nor has our milkman turned up. Mr. Patel is so grumpy he's waiting for his morning cup of tea." Now here, let's understand the meaning of grumpy. Grumpy means easily annoyed and complaining. So Mrs. Patel tells to Mr. Desai, saying they have not received the newspaper and also they have not received the milk. Early in the morning, Mr. Patel has the habit of having tea. So because there was no milk, Mrs. Patel could not make tea for Mr. Patel. Hence, Mr. Patel was very angry. Now, let's look at what the other person says. Mr. Desai. Very strange. And look, the state the street is in is simply shocking. Mrs. Patil. My word, what's this? Where did all this litter and garbage come from? Now let's look at the street, how ugly it is. So they are all surprised to see this dirty street. Now they were wondering as to where all this garbage has come from. And because of the garbage, maybe they were thinking that they did not receive the newspaper as well as the milk. So let's go ahead to the next page, page number 34. And let's see the conversation of the other people in the lesson. Mr. Desai says, I returned rather late from the office last night and the street was bare then. How did all this rubbish gather overnight? Here you see another picture of the garbage and people are lying down, falling. So suddenly what happens? So Madhu says, oh, ouch, my foot, it hurts. Mrs. Joshi says, oh dear, Madhu, are you all right? Oh no, her foot is bleeding so much. Somebody help, please. Mrs. Patil, Nidhi, run and fetch Dr. Mrs. Sawant. Request her to come quickly. Your sister has cut herself on a broken glass bottle. So if you see the picture over here, they were walking down on the street and suddenly Madhu gets hurt and mother keeps crying, oh my goodness, she is worried. What to do, what to do, what to do. In this slide, you can see the picture over here, children. Madhu was crying. Then suddenly, Mrs. Patil, Nidhi, run and fetch, she tells Nidhi, daughter. Says, go and call doctor immediately. Who's the doctor here? Dr. Mrs. Sawant. So request her please to kindly come quickly and take a look at your sister. So she runs to the doctor. Mr. Desai, I'll get some ice at once. So Mr. Desai will be there at once and then he brings the ice pack which is there on the picture. Mrs. Joshi, almost in tears, my poor child, how did all this broken glass happen to be here? Mrs. Patil says, look around, it's not just broken glass, but see, there's lot more. So what does Mrs. Patil says? It's not just the broken glasses, there are lots of things which are lying on the street. So Mrs. Joshi says, dear me, what nonsense this is, unbelievable. Where has all this rubbish come from? Dr. Sawant enters with Nidhi. She has a doctor's kit. If you see, there's a doctor whose name is Dr. Sawant, and also there's a girl who's Nidhi, and then she will be with the doctor's kit. She will be helping the doctor. So, Mr. Desai, here's some ice to stop the bleeding. Mr. Desai gives the ice pack so that it can be kept. Always remember, children, whenever you get hurt, first thing is take the ice pack and put it on the injured part so that it will stop bleeding. So doctor says, what presence of mind. Good. Applies ice on the wound. There now, it has stopped bleeding. It's a deep cut. I'll dress the wound and she will be fine. So, Mr. Sawant says, it's a very good job, whatever you have done putting the ice pack. See, whenever you put the ice pack, the bleeding immediately stops. So, Mrs. Joshi says, thank you, doctor. So kind of you to come at once, but I'm going to complain to the mayor. Have you seen the rubbish and the litter on the roads? She is very upset because her daughter is injured because of the garbage which is lying on the streets. All right, children. Now, Dr. Sawant. Oh, it's a mystery. All this garbage was not there yesterday. And now, just look. Enters newspaper boy. Here in the picture, you can see the newspaper boy and also a hawker. Okay, Here enters the newspaper boy, milkman, and the hawkers. So, children, I forgot to give you the meaning of presence of mind. Now, what is the meaning of the presence of mind? It's the ability to make good decisions and to act quickly and calmly in a difficult situation or an emergency. So, always remember presence of mind means what exactly you do in a difficult or in a tough situation. If you are having the presence of mind, you always do the right thing. Here, the presence of mind is getting the ice pack because she was injured. At that particular moment, ice pack was required. So that is the presence of mind. Immediately the thought came into their mind. So that's called the presence of mind. So children, here comes the hawker and newspaper boy and the milkman. If you see the pictures, you have the picture of a newspaper boy and the milkman. All right. Now, Mrs. Patil says, the mayor must not have seen. Look, the newspaper boy. He is limping. And the milkman at last to the milkman. Why? Where's your bicycle? And why are you so late? Asks Mrs. Patil. Milkman says, the tires were punctured. Milkman says, the tires were punctured. So I had to come walking all the way with this heavy milk can. And newspaper boy says, and I tripped over an old tire and sprained my foot. It was quite dark early this morning. I did not expect an old tire right in the middle of the road. So here, meaning of tripped is lost your balance after knocking your foot against something when you were walking. Suddenly, at times when you're walking busily, you just slip your feet and then it'll sprain. Okay, so sprain means causing an injury to a joint in the body by a sudden movement. Suddenly, when you're walking down the stairs, suddenly your foot slips. So it trips. Slips or trips is one and the same. When sprain happens when you slip. So it causes an injury in the joint of the body. So here, when the newspaper boy was coming in, he slipped and then sprained his foot because of the garbage which was lying on the streets, which he did not expect. So he had to leave his vehicle aside and then he had to walk down. Who? The milkman and also the newspaper boy. Now, Mr. Desai says, I see, something must be done. Now enters the bus driver, carefully avoiding the litter. So here in this slide you can see the bus driver coming in the street, which is all dirty, garbage lying here and there. So bus driver says, Mrs. Joshi, I'm sorry I can't drive the school bus today. On every road and street there is nothing but litter. It looks like an obstacle race course. Mrs. Joshi, I'm going to send for the mayor at once. He must see this. Our children are not safe with all these dangerous broken objects around. Here, bus driver is really very upset about how to drive the bus on those dirty roads because it's all dirty. His tires might get punctured and he could not move the bus further. So he says that this is like an obstacle race course. Now, what is an obstacle race, children? A race in which runners have to climb over, under, or through a series of obstacles. Obstacles are the hurdles, like there will be some kind of breakdown after some time of gap. between each journey. So it's like an obstacle. So he could not drive smoothly. There was something or the other which was stopping his driving in between because of the litter. So he said, we have to inform mayor at once because of this dirty things which are lying on the street. So many objects, broken objects, which would hurt not only the human beings but also the tires get punctured. So the hawker says, which is here. Now, hawker is the person who sells. No one is safe. Let's request the mayor to come and see for himself. So hawker says, let's call him immediately so that he looks at this street and then he does something for us. Mr. Desai, I'll fetch him. Fetch to get something or someone. So Mr. Desai immediately goes out and says, I will definitely go and call him. So here enters the mayor. Now in this picture you can also see that mayor is also come into the picture now. Enters again with the mayor and his retinue. Now what is retinue? A group of helpers and followers who travel with an important person. So along with prime minister and the chief minister, any kind of minister, usually many people also come along with him. So along with mayor, there were many other people whom I did not show in this slide, but as per the story, there are other people who joined along with mayor. Okay, children. Now, mayor. What does mayor says? He is annoyed. Annoyed? What is the meaning? He became angry. Unbelievable. Shocking. How do you expect people to walk through all this rubbish? Why don't you all dispose of the garbage properly? So, dispose means to get rid of something. So, he gets very angry. How can you people do all this by throwing the garbage on the streets? Can't you just throw the garbage in a proper way in the dustbins? So, he really gets upset about it. So, Mrs. Patil, but we do, Mr. Mayor, we give our garbage to the garbage collector. Mrs. Patil says, yes, sir, we definitely give the garbage. I'm sure you also must be giving your garbage to the garbage collector, children. Isn't it? Yes, that's a very good habit. So Mrs. Patil says, we never throw, but we give the garbage to the garbage collector. Mrs. Joshi, yes, we don't litter our streets like this. So Mrs. Joshi also says, yes, sir, we do not throw our garbage on the streets like this. Now, Mr. Desai says, or we take it to the dumping ground near the riverside away from here. The rains then wash it away. So, Mr. Desai also says to Mayor that, sir, we do not throw it, but we put it in the dumping ground. Now, what is a dumping ground? It's a place where something unwanted is left. So we just throw it over there, and when it rains, it gets washed away. So every city also has a dumping ground, children. Now Mrs. Patil says, or the winds blow it away. So when we throw it in the dumping ground, Mrs. Patil says, we throw it in the dumping ground, and sometimes the winds blow it away. And Mr. Desai says, sometimes the rain comes and washes it away. Now Mayor says, then how did it come back into the town overnight? So he was surprised. You all did not throw. How did it come? As it or overnight, within one night, how did it come? How did the street become so dirty? He was surprised. Bus driver, that's the problem. Nobody knows how it got here. It's a mystery. So everybody is shocked and surprised, thinking, how did it come? We did not throw. Then throughout the night, who could have thrown? So newspaper boy says, it looks like someone has done it purposely to spoil our town. Mrs. Joshi, and endanger and endanger our children. Endanger, to put someone in danger of being harmed. So Mrs. Joyce says that this is really a dangerous thing which would bring harm to our children. Now Milkman says, and hinder our daily work. Milkman says, yes, indeed, this kind of thing is really troubling our daily routine work. Hinder means to limit the ability of someone to do something. Okay. Now, Mayor. Now, children, Mayor, along with all the people, Mrs. Joshi, newspaper boy, bus driver, Mrs. Patil, Mr. Desai, Mrs. Joshi, everybody whose pictures are mentioned over here, they will be standing on the street and they will be discussing, they will be upset. How could this happen? So Mayor says, we will not tolerate this. I must look into this. I will not spare anyone. Who has done this? Who is responsible for this mess? So Mayor is really very upset. Tolerate over here, which means to accept behavior that is different from your own. Children, now many a times when you are troubling your sister or when you are troubling your brother, they do not tolerate. Even when you throw the litter on the garbage, the papers and all the trash in your house, do you think your mother tolerates? No, she does not. They get really very upset and they tell you to pick it up immediately. So here the mayor says he will not tolerate it. Just like your mother, he says, we will not tolerate this. We have to do something about it. Now, when he says this, now here enters animals who have been hiding. Who are the animals who are hiding here, children? Deer, rabbit, birds, squirrel, birds, etc. Each one comes out from its cover turn by turn saying, says, we are responsible. We have brought in all this litter. We have spread the garbage all over the town. So Deer says, yes, we confess we did so. Mayor says, what? You? How dare you? Says Mayor to the deer. Mrs. Joshi, what right do you have to spoil our town and make it unsafe to move around? So children, now let's turn to page number 36. Here, Bear comes in. Bear says, come forward. We have only brought back to you what belongs to you. Tell me, what right do you have to dump all this in the forest? This forest is our dwelling place. So children, here birds have messed up the streets of the people and their societies. Why? It is because they were all upset. Who were upset? The animals were upset because we humans make their place dirty. So hence it is a lesson for all the human beings they wanted to teach. So hence, in overnight, they have taken out all the garbage of the forest and they have put it all over the street just to teach the lesson to the mankind. Now they confess, animals one by one they confess. Now we have seen deer, we have seen bear saying that we have done it and we have got all the litter which you have put in the forest back to your streets. So bird says, our trees are dying and vanishing because of you. Where can we roost or build nest? Now roost means it belongs to birds to rest or go to sleep somewhere. It's a resting place of the birds. Now squirrel says, and where can we live? Rabbit says, you are worried about Madhu being injured because of sharp broken glass. Don't our young ones get hurt too? Says Rabbit. So sad, isn't it, children? Really, we make the forest and the gardens and the parks so dirty. We do not even think as to how much they get injured, and if at all they get injured, who is going to take care of them children? There is nobody. They cannot go to the doctor. So at least we humans have parents, and we talk, we express our feelings, and then we have doctors so that we can take them. But there's no one to take care of the animals in the forest. Hence, they wanted to teach a lesson. Now, Deer says, yes, and we have no doctor to dress their wounds. Our young ones simply die. Madhu and Nidhi says, oh no, how shocking, terrible. Tortoise says, all the fish in the rivers and the lakes die because of the waste dumped in water. How we suffer because of these chemicals and poison, says Tortoise. So Tortoise also says that, yes, because you dump all the dirt into the water, our fish also dies. Now, dumped here means, children, dropping carelessly somewhere, just throwing out. Dr. Savant says, yes, it's unfortunately true. Now, Peacock, so we called a meeting and decided to return. See here, this is all the dirt which has been thrown by the animals. Now, Peacock says, we called a meeting and decided to return all your dangerous stuff back to you. We don't need it. Bear says, anyways, we were not as cruel as you are. We have only returned the garbage. We have not poured chemicals and poisons onto your settlements. So Bear says, it's only the garbage which we have thrown, but we did not throw poisonous things which endanger you. So that's what Bear says. And Mayor says, I see, you animals and birds do have a point. You are right, says Mayor. So Mayor accepts what the birds have to say. Mr. Desai, you have opened our eyes. We should not dump rubbish in the forests or rivers or lakes. So Mr. Desai says to the animals, you are really right. What you say is correct, that you have opened our eyes. Opened our eyes means not literally catching the eyelids and opening them, children. It means that you made us aware of something surprising or shocking. It means that you made us realize our mistake. So that's what opening our eyes means. So, Mrs. Patil, but where can we dispose of it? So Mayor says, if you all agree to sort out the litter, I will arrange for it to be collected separately. Then some of it can go for processing and some for recycling. So children, Mayor says, if you all agree, I will arrange to sort out this garbage, this litter. Sort out means to put in a correct place. So if you say okay, I will sort it out and send some of the garbage for the processing and some for the recycling. So then they agree. Mrs. Joshi says, it's a good idea. Let's do that. Now, before we go ahead, let's understand the meanings of processing. What is processing, children? Preparing or changing or treating raw material as a part of an industrial operation. So, making use of this garbage for some other purpose by doing some other changes in the industry. Now, recycling means collecting and treating rubbish to produce useful material which can be used again. So, there are many things which can be recycled. Paper can be recycled and some kind of plastic is recycled. So, Mayor said that I will get it sorted and I will send some of the litter or the garbage for processing and some for recycling. Mrs. Joshi says it's a good idea. Let's go just do that. Now Mayor says, let us save our Mother Earth from further harm to the animals. Thank you, dear animals, for teaching us a lesson so effectively. As assure you, we will not pollute or spoil your homes. I shall even warn those who go there for picnics. So Mayor promises the animals and also says thank you so much for teaching us the lesson. Effectively here means in a way that is successful and achieves what you want. So they have taught a lesson effectively. Effectively means that mankind has learned the lesson by what animals have done. Assure means to make something certain to happen. Children, I want you to also understand that we should never throw the litter here and there. So some animals say thank you, Mr. Mayor, thank you, and they return back. Mayor says self-help is the best help. Let's clear this up, all including the mayor start picking up the litter. So everyone starts picking up all the garbage and animals return to their places. Mayor also promises the animals that it will not happen once again. Now here, children, there are the meanings which I have explained while I was reading and explaining the lesson. So I want you to write down these meanings in your class notebook and learn them by heart. So here we come to an end of this lesson. To keep the forest and picnic places and our surroundings clean by our own self. It is we who are responsible to make and to keep the place clean. So we need to save the earth, children, by keeping our surroundings clean. That's all I have for now. Thank you so much. You have a nice day. Bye-bye.